welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, that's where they get you.
Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach.
And tonight we get to continue the Star Trek The Next Generation feature films with First Contact.
Yes. Which is the best one.
Yes.
Like, this is the second best Star Trek movie. I'm sorry. Did you want to challenge me?
Yeah. I'm highly biased towards the original crew. It is easily the best Next Gen movie. There's no question about that.
Yeah. It very much follows the format of the odd-numbered Star Treks not being great and the even-numbered Star Treks being really good.
Yeah.
And this is especially true if you consider Galaxy Quest, which we've covered previously, as an odd-numbered Star Trek movie that happens to happily insert between Star Trek Insurrection and Star Trek Nemesis, which then makes the 11th Star Trek film, the 2009 Star Trek, an even-numbered film, and Star Trek Beyond an even-numbered film. And it all works out.
It all works out.
Perfect.
Find some way to keep that pattern in place. But see, I think that I still argue, I know we talked about this many moons ago at this point, but I argue that was never true, because Star Trek 3 is very good in my opinion. But
I just think Star Trek 3 has a lot of weaknesses that I can't call it an objectively good film.
I objectively disagree.
It is fine. It has some really good things to it, but it also it has some roughness that even for its time is pretty inexcusable. I do, however, very much enjoy it. The same way that, like, Star Trek 6 is undeniably a fantastic movie, or especially a fantastic Star Trek, but it is one of those movies similar to Avengers Infinity War, okay? You can't go into it dry. It's part of a series. If you're going in without context, it's nonsense of a movie. Which is why I think Star Trek First Contact is especially, like, an excellent entry point into Star Trek for a lot of modern audiences. And, or like, younger people that their parents are trying to get them into Star Trek. First Contact is a great entrance, because you figure it out. You don't need to know and understand the world through and through. It can be taken in by itself, and you still recognize this is pretty darn good.
Well, I like Star Trek First Contact very much, and I agree with you that this is one of the easier movies to watch without, just the incredible. I think that's the thing is I cannot be objective about Star Trek. I really can't. It's too baked into who I am and what I love about science fiction and the greater mythos of everything. And I love Next Gen. I really, really do. But it's my third favorite Star Trek franchise. I mean, it's the original crew, it's DS9, and then it's Next Gen for me. And so the massive bump that the original crew gets just puts 2, 4, and 6 above this for me. But that's I'll admit that I'm heavily biased about that. But I would watch them before I watched this, even though I consider this to be an outstanding film. I'm too far into just the emotional connection that I get. Kirk, Spock, and Bones overrides as much as Picard and Data are amazing, and I love them. Yeah. But they unfortunately can't compete, and I'm not capable anymore at this point in my life, and nor am I young enough to care to try to change, to override that, if that makes sense.
You see, this is my Wrath of Khan. Like, this movie came out on my 5th birthday.
Wow.
Like, you look at the poster. That's my birthday. I turned 5 years old, and I remember my parents buying
They let
like
you see
the
this at 5?
VHS and the DVD. Probably 6 by then.
Okay.
You
I
know?
would not let my 6-year-old see this movie, by the way. So, man, talk to your dad.
Well,
This movie is
my
like
parents were weird
legit
about
scary for
movies.
like
Okay.
kids at times.
Yeah, but I've never been like really scared by movies. I recall having nightmares about one movie, and it was like the last time I ever was scared by a movie, really, and it was Signs. I was 10 years
Yeah, you've talked
old,
about this.
and there was one particular scene where you see the silhouette of the alien on the roof, and it was like one of those mountain storms up here in the Sierra Nevada foothills, and I was living in this house that my room was actually kind of below our driveway, in how it was set up, and so I could look out my window up at the sloping hill onto our driveway, and it's storming outside, and I swear I saw that alien standing out there in my driveway, and it freaked me out.
Nice.
And that's like the only time that I can actively remember being scared by a movie. Like even the ones that I saw before that, um, like this and other TV shows that might have been a little bit too adult for me. I never had nightmares about them. I was never scared of them. I always just like loved them and was fascinated by them. And this movie just defined for me what I loved about sci-fi action. This smart, interesting blending of um, all of these different genres, really, into one, while having really good action and cool ships. And I loved it. I fell in love with it, and it's the reason why it's one of the big reasons why I still love Star Trek to this day. This is my favorite Star Trek movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I won't even try to fight you. That's totally valid. Like I said, my favorites are entirely informed by my childhood and my biases also. So that's totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, if like, had to get like into a, like a academic exercise, accept that this movie is probably higher than I rank it. If you like really strip it down into the nuances of film and all that stuff, but I just,
Well, that's what we're here for, Brian.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's valuable, and sometimes art is
Sometimes it's
supposed.
pedantic.
It is. Well, and I mean, I was gonna say, like, art is supposed to be personal, right? And as much as these is fun, nerdy, sci-fi action, killer robots in the future type of stuff, it is supposed to be personal, and the having a personal connection that makes it better or worse or whatever, like that's part of art, right? So it's a valid part of how you evaluate and react to things.
Yep.
So, anyways,
for those of you who don't know,
go ahead.
I was going to go into the details here and say that this is Star Trek First Contact from the year 1996, which now, those of you who are able to look at the poster and figure things out, you now know exactly when I was born. Rated PG-13, 1 hour and 51 minutes long, directed by Jonathan Frakes, Commander Riker himself, written by Rick Berman and Brannon Braga,
and Ronald D. Moore,
starring Sir Patrick Stewart and Ronald D. Moore. You're right. Starring Sir Patrick Stewart, who just today was announced his retirement from filmmaking. Avengers Doomsday is supposedly going to be his last film. Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Geets McFadden, Marina Sirtis, Alfre Woodard, James Cromwell, and Alex Krieg. And I like mentioning Neil McDonough because pretty great.
Yeah, he's. It's funny because we re-watched this last week. I hadn't seen it in a year, maybe a little more than a year, and I was like, hey, I know this movie very well, but it's an excuse to watch it again. And
same thing I did. I showed it to my wife.
My Jen and I have been going through the television show Suits from a couple years ago. it's fine. It's a fun legal drama. It was a big deal for a minute there, but the Neil McDowell, he plays a prosecutor or something. I don't know. He has a prominent guest starring role for almost a full season, and it was just funny that I pointed him out in this movie, and Jen was like, "Oh my gosh, he's a baby." But he still has those piercing eyes. Like the guy has, like he and Ed Harris to me are like the two actors I think of when I think of just like the most striking eyes on like a male actor out there.
I think of Cillian Murphy, because that was actually one of the things from Batman Begins. He kept having him take off his glasses because Christopher Nolan wanted to have piercing eyes in the shots.
But they don't have that like almost ethereal blue to them that both. You know, Neil McDowell, it's like, you think his eyes are being, like, CG'd, and they're not.
You know, it's funny that you bring up Suits, though, because he was actually offered a permanent role on the TV show. But he refused to do sex scenes or kissing scenes.
Yep.
Because he was offered a multi-million-dollar contract, and he refused to budge on that, so they withdrew the contract.
Yeah.
And
he's an interesting guy
because he considers it against his religious beliefs. He thinks that it would be cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think a lot of people like to dunk on him nowadays because, you know, he's the last movies he's done is, you know, been Angel Studio stuff, and, you know, people like to lump him in with, oh, he's one of those right-wing actors now, and I think that's doing a little disservice. He's had a good career. He's a very good actor. But, you know, he's decided he has his standards, and you know, I respect that. But this isn't his first film, I don't think, right? But this is definitely an early film, isn't it?
Oh, no. Yeah, it was definitely one of his earlier roles, probably his most recognizable, but it definitely wasn't his first.
Yeah.
Like, he's been working since, like, I want to say 90. Yeah, okay. His first movie, technically, as an extra, was Darkman from 1990, which we've got to watch Darkman.
I should probably watch it.
Liam Neeson.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, dude. But he did all kinds of stuff leading up to this. Lots of like 1 episodes, 2 episodes of this. You know, Darkwing Duck, Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, but yeah, he has he's one of the better, I think. I mean, you could definitely call him a red shirt, I think, but one of the more memorable ones because he's got some pretty good lines. He's the helm officer, and you know he gets to. You know, full on get assimilated and have a little fun scene with Picard and Worf. So, you know.
Well, one of the things that they did, they specifically wrote the character in order to kind of make the audience think he's going to be very important and possibly even like a future Star Trek star or regular. They wanted to just highlight him that much, and in order to surprise people and suddenly have him turn and kill him off.
Yeah. No, he does a good job. But yeah, I remember James Cromwell at this point was mostly famous for Babe. I'm trying to think of like some of the other actors in this. I mean, and I love James Cromwell. He's one of those actors that just shows up and kind of does his thing and just is fun.
James Cromwell, he's one of these guys, right? Who's like, he's known for being like a sophisticated actor. He's known for being like in the like historical dramas and stuff like that, right? And he's won awards and things. I don't think he's an Oscar winner, right?
I think he might be nominated, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't won an Oscar.
Yeah, because he's known for stuff like he plays presidents, you know. He's played the president of the United States 4 different times. Okay. And one of the funny things researching this is that he said about the role of Zefram Cochrane that he felt that it was the closest character he's ever played to his authentic self. Like, this is what he's like in real life. Which is just really funny because the man's just a grub.
It's interesting too for me, this movie and his character specifically, and his character was a lot of fun, but there had been there is an episode of the original series that has Cochrane in it, and there was a book that I still like very much. I have a hard copy of it called Federation by Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. That is a Picard and Kirk kind of time traveling story that features Cochrane, and it has him in a more traditional, where he is more like Geordi and everybody thinks of him before they meet him, right? A little more of a noble scientist, a little more of a dreamer. And
I'm an engineer who is going to reach out into the stars and find the truth.
I mean, kind of. I mean, not quite that stuffy, but it's just. And so there was part of me that was a little bit surprised when I saw this, because I had already had in my mind an idea of who Zefram Cochrane was. And so the first time I saw this, that was the one part of the movie that kind of threw me off a little bit. Like, wait a minute, Zefram Cochrane's like the drunk, selfish guy that just kind of. I mean, but I've come around to. I think it was also in my mind there was like, I kind of had in my mind like a canon idea, so to speak, even though it wasn't canon. And all of a sudden, this is canon. And similar to I promise to not go down this rabbit hole too far, but I had in my mind a very canon Luke Skywalker, and then I saw Last Jedi, and I'm like, whoa. Even though that is a much more extreme example of what happened here.
Pump your brakes.
I know, but I'm using that as like
no,
hyperbole, right, to make the point. So there was to a much lesser degree, there was a tiny bit of that when I first saw this, because I was 14 when I saw this movie when it came out. So 96, I was 14. Yeah. And but I loved I think I talked about this in our Independence Day podcast. I fought hard with my friends because I love Star Trek, and this movie was very good, and seeing it in theaters was just exciting, and fighting hard that this was a better movie than Independence Day. And I will still, as a film, this is a better film than Independence Day. It may not be quite as much, just like blockbuster cheesy fun, but it's a better acted, just a more compelling story. It's objectively better in every way to me as a film. Even though obviously Independence Day, made what, $800-something million, and this made like what, 120 or something like that. And this movie was definitely successful, but it wasn't like, it didn't break out of Star Trek's like what Star Trek movies made at this point. Let's see.
James Cromwell was nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards for Babe.
He was nominated for Babe? Okay, so this movie made 146 million worldwide, which, I mean, that's not, it's not bad. Because it's like Generations made 118. Now, really quickly, sorry, I'm like going on a quick little. So Star Trek 4, okay, interesting. So up until this point, Star Trek 4 was by far the most successful movie at the box office. 133 million. But that's 133 million in 1986. So, like, Star Trek 4 was like the first movie that really kind of broke out of, just the Trekkies went and saw it. But First Contact definitely was, I think, the second most successful film as far as people who didn't love Star Trek automatically were like, no, you should go see this. Like you said, this is the kind of movie that even a non-Star Trek fan would really appreciate. Just like, and to be fair, there's a lot of similarities in themes between this and Voyage Home. Obviously, the Borg and tonally it's very different, but the fish out of water stuff, the humor, the time travel, going back to Earth to save Earth, to save its future by changing something in the past, kind of a thing. There are some similarities, and it's interesting that they're the two most successful. Until you get to the J.J. Abrams stuff, obviously, that changes the conversation entirely for box office return.
Even not really. Like, in terms of budget to earnings, this is one of the highest ones. Like, even the highest earning one ever in terms of pure dollar amount is Star Trek Into Darkness, which had a budget of $190 million, and it made almost 500. So it just more than doubled its budget. Whereas this one, $45 million coming out to $150 million, it tripled its budget.
Yeah.
So spending to earning ratio, this is one of the most profitable Star Trek films.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you bring up Star Trek 4, in this discussion, because this movie is like if you took Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan and Voyage Home, and smooshed them together. And they specifically did that for the Wrath of Khan comparisons. They did that very specifically, but they flipped the narrative to where both reference Moby Dick.
Yeah.
And whereas Han was Ahab in that movie, hunting Kirk, his white whale, unto his destruction. This movie flips the narrative so that Picard is now Ahab. And he's risking the destruction of himself and his ship for his vengeance, the white whale that is the Borg.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really smart idea. But we should probably actually start watching the movie, and then we should talk about that stuff.
This isn't a super long film. The credits start after only an hour and 45 minutes, so we've got, do you... Okay, I kind of miss movies that can tell such a good story and have so much fun in an hour and 45 minutes, right? I'm not saying that I never want a long movie, but man, there is something to be said for a brisk, because this movie is paced really well.
Yeah.
The only complaint I have with this movie is that as a nerd, I really wanted the space battle against the Borg to last longer, because I just like spaceships and fighting. But I'm sure they just did not. 96 again. We're still very much in a CG model hybrid time in Hollywood. And I mean,
Hallelujah.
That sequence looks so good, but I mean, I'm sure that took up a lot of the budget. So
it did indeed. It did indeed.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah. I'm really fast. I do want to talk about, before we hit play, we do have the screenplay. I'm sorry, man. The screenplay is written by the same writing team that did Generations and All Good Things. And I didn't watch their commentary this time. I didn't have to. I was watching it with my family. I didn't want to subject them to a writer's commentary, even though I really would have enjoyed listening to it. But I read some interviews and clips with them and stuff like that, and they really were trying hard to kind of compensate for the fact that they know. And I talked about this last week. They know that they dropped the ball on Generations in many places, and this is such an amazing comeback in a way from a writing point of view. Because I mean, I like and enjoy Generations just fine. It's not amazing, but I enjoy it. But this movie, from a writing point of view, you can tell that they were like, okay, we have another shot at a Star Trek feature film. Let's nail it. And they really did a good job. They're both, I know that they both have had their misses for us in television, but I think when they write really good science fiction, that they're both very good when they nail it. So I wanted to specifically call out them as, just props to their kind of not letting Generations get them down and coming back and writing this afterwards. So I thought that's kind of cool.
I agree. This was a heck of a redemption movie.
Yeah. So, trying to get better about this as a podcaster. Before I hit play, if you are enjoying this podcast or not enjoying it, and you have anything to say to us, we'd really appreciate any kind of feedback. A like, a share, a comment of any kind, regardless of whatever platform you are listening to our obnoxious voices on. We would appreciate it.
Tell me how great I am and tell Brian how dumb he is.
I mean, that'd be fine. And, our main interaction so far has come from Dune Films. So any Trekkies out there that have some Trek thoughts to throw in the comments on any of these episodes, we would look forward to it. So
tell me why I'm wrong for loving the Enterprise E.
Oh, the Enterprise E is sexy. Yeah. All right.
Well, you made it weird.
I'm sorry. It is. I am unashamed to say that the Enterprise E, as much as I'm a refit Constitution guy, that is my favorite Enterprise. I can't imagine that ever changing. The Enterprise E is a good-looking ship.
Oh, yes.
So.
The first of the little ships that I bought. For those of you who don't know, I own an entire collection of the Eaglemoss die-cast Star Trek ships, ranging from the Enterprise NX-01 all the way to the Enterprise J. And the first one I bought was the E. And it just kind of ended up an addiction from there.
Nice. Well, we are going to hit that. Yeah, we're going to hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, go.
One of the very first things I want to talk about with this movie is Jerry Goldsmith's score.
Yeah.
Because I love the music, again, to the twos. Wrath of Khan and First Contact. But more than anything, this movie, I think, has the most beautiful Star Trek music of any movie or TV show. Like, hands down.
Well, I mean, Jerry Goldsmith composed the motion picture, and this was his return to Star Trek, was this film.
Yeah. And
these credits too, I always think of a little bit of homage to, not obviously directly like Superman, but a little bit of just kind of that like fade in. I love the credits in general. I mean, but both the visually and obviously the scores, like you said.
Yeah,
it's
you have
beautiful.
This smooth brass, right? These French horns and a little bit of tuba and stuff like that, and it's just building score. It's so pretty. And I have had 2 weddings, and I have and I had previously spoken with somebody else about potentially getting married at one point. And
to
weird all sentence. 3 of them,
I talked to somebody about potentially getting married.
Well, we were practically engaged when everything had to be cut off, unfortunately. Or actually, no, fortunately. I'm with somebody much better. My wife is the ultimate evolution of girls I'm interested in. So
anybody listening, she can hear him right now, so you know.
No, she can't. She's upstairs watching Friends. So they can't all be perfect.
Oh gosh.
I'm not a big fan of Friends, but I have pitched this music that we're listening to right now as potential like wedding music.
Yeah,
because I think it's just beautiful.
Okay, so I mean, you got Rogue One and Force Awakens into your wedding. How come you didn't sub this into one of the Star Wars spots?
Because they all liked John Williams and people pretending to be John Williams.
Well, Michael Giacchino is not exactly a downstep. That's like he's not too much of a downstep. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, but there's a difference in people's minds between Star Wars and Star Trek. Yeah. Star Wars is still easy for the public to love. Star Trek is always going to be the realm of the hardcore nerds.
Yeah, because it's better.
Yeah.
Star Trek, I'm sorry, anybody out there, I love Star Wars. Star Trek is better. Like, hands down, not even close. Star Trek is better science fiction. It's a thinking man's things. I love Star Wars, but it's like fast food.
I'm not going into that. I love Star Wars so much.
I do, but if you take just the films, if you don't get into all the other stuff, it's just I firmly believe what I just said. I'll just leave it at that.
No, actually, funny stuff, okay? This movie did have a genuine impact on Star Wars. A lot of the stuff that they did for this movie with ILM, okay? Because ILM was trying brand new things, and they needed to build a pipeline for their visual effects. And this movie and its visual effects, as soon as they were done with it, they moved on to a little 1999 movie called Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And they literally used stuff that they created in this movie as like an experiment. It's one of the reasons why they got a good price on ILM to do this, is because they wanted to do a space sci-fi movie like this and fiddle around with stuff to make sure that they were ready for episode 1.
Well, they also Star Trek had seen what happens when you don't get ILM to do your movie, and that's Star Trek 5. So, you know. Oh man, this whole sequence. Okay, what do you think of the double fake on the dream?
It's a little much.
I'm
not a big fan of dream sequences in general, but I think that it works here because the whole PTSD thing is so important to the story. But yeah,
they do not waste time. By the way, like this is here's the Borg for anybody who doesn't know, and then like, you know, there was no build up. It is just immediately like, nope, the Borg are here and briefing. You know, after this this insane beauty shot we got coming up. Ooh. Look at that thing.
Because what they're doing,
and the music
here
kicks in. It has
stacking,
the old theme too over this, which I love.
They're actually stacking a real photo from the Hubble telescope with other vignettes in front of it, and then having this glory shot of the new Enterprise, which there hadn't been a new Enterprise in 15 years, right? And
since
they
Next
never
Gen
had
launched.
one like this. this is the last time they used a physical model for the Enterprise.
Well, technically, the B was a but it was just a modification of the Excelsior model. So
no. No. This is the last time in filming. This is the last time they built a physical model.
Oh yeah, no, I know. You said like it's the first new Enterprise in like 15 years. I'm like, technically the B was new, but I mean it was just
the C from yesterday's Enterprise as well.
Yeah, but no, this was a big deal. Geordi loses his visor in this movie.
He apparently he was campaigning for that since like season 2 of Next Gen.
So
and he thought that the experience of Geordi in Generations would have led him to upgrade his visor to prevent it from being more tamper-proof.
And that is a perfectly legitimate story. Motivator. It's interesting though because both Ron Moore and Brendan Bagno, they think that as much as they sympathize with him and they agree, they do feel like Geordi lost something a little bit without the visor, just something distinct about him. Not that LeVar Burton is not a good enough actor.
I like it. I think it still stands out. I really like it.
Well, they did a good job of making the eyes really pop still, which I think is good. I do think if they had not made his eyes so obviously mechanical, it would have been objectively kind of bad.
Yeah. Funny thing about the redesign of the Enterprise E, okay? They're creating this new Sovereign class, which I fell in love with mostly because of the video game Star Trek Bridge Commander, where you take command of the Sovereign for the entire story, and it's just... But the first designs, this one guy, he's designing this thing, okay? And this is why feedback is so important for artists. You can't always just sit there and be like, my art is so perfect. You need to show it to people and have them be like, is it this guy was drawing up the Enterprise? He creates this design that he loves. It's actually quite similar to what we have here with the Enterprise E Sovereign class. And he shows it to another artist of his. He's like, and apparently he looked at it for less than 10 seconds. And he went, it looks like a chicken in a hat. And the artist, I had his name, but I lost it. It's just, he couldn't see anything else. And he had to redesign it to be a little bit more sleek and not look like chicken in a pot, not chicken in a hat. But I just thought that was so funny.
We got the new bridge here. I will say, this bridge, I don't mind it. The consoles are a little bit thin, if that makes sense. I feel like there's
I miss the multi-level of the D. I wanted it to have that rise in the back.
Yeah, because you can tell they were going back to more of a... Go ahead.
I think this might have been a set that was built for one of the TV shows that were going, either Deep Space Nine or Voyager. They reuse a lot of Voyager and Deep Space Nine sets in this.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they saved money.
So Jonathan Frakes, I mean, he directed a bunch of episodes, but this is his first feature film.
Yep.
I feel like just this is a strong debut. I mean, obviously he's working with a very familiar, bit of material and with actors who he's known at this point for 9 years, I think, at this point. But he directs this well. I mean, he's moving the camera very, very confidently. He does a decent job. I mean, it's a little traditional still as far as the way it's shot, but it's not boring. He's not just sitting the camera around letting stuff pan out. Like even that opening, that kind of twisting, free flow camera move through the corridor and everything. Like Jonathan Frakes,
the Borg nightmare.
I mean, he's not some like world class director, who's up with the greats, but he's a very solid director.
I bet that if you gave him good money and a little bit more time to experience with directing, he could be one of the greats, especially for science fiction.
I think for science fiction, I mean, he's not Spielberg, is what I'm trying to say, and I don't think he ever would be. But he is. He's not just a TV director who got to do a few movies. I think he's way beyond that.
Well, they really wanted somebody in this to direct. One of the stories is they really wanted somebody who knew Star Trek. They wanted Ridley Scott to direct this. Like, right here,
the little Klingon team.
Freaking Adam Scott.
Oh, that's
that's the main guy from Parks and Rec, and
that. Oh my gosh, it is. How do they?
Yeah, Severance and all
Because
that.
he's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good actor.
Somebody asked him about this movie, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's right," because he's well known to be a huge Star Wars fan. Like they brought Mark Hamill out during like the Tonight Show when he was on it, and he freaked out. And then somebody reminded him, "Oh yeah, he was on Star Trek." He's like, "Yeah, I just needed a job, and they were paying."
Yeah. So
I think that was so funny.
This is such a simple but elegant way to get Worf back on the show, back with his crew. Because at this point, anybody who's not a Star Trek fan, Michael Dorn's character Worf had gone over Deep Space Nine, and the Defiant is Deep Space Nine's ship, and it was built, in that show, it was built to fight the Borg. So the fact that it came for this battle and that Worf was commanding it, because at this point Worf had transferred to Command Division, he's wearing red now. I mean, it all just
that
like
was also
it just
the point
works.
of his transfer in the thing is that he was the commander of the Defiant.
Yeah. So it's one of those where they don't. It's such a simple, elegant way to get him in here, and it just works. This shot, they're right here, man.
Yeah. They even highly considered having Avery Brooks make a cameo, but they couldn't make it make sense, and they thought that it was just going to seem like soulless fan service.
To me, it also works perfectly fine because Sisko would have stayed behind to take care of DS9 and let Worf do this. There's, I mean, maybe
quantum torpedoes.
Oh yeah, quantum. I mean, there's definitely a way, because of, especially with the pilot of DS9 bringing Sisko back, who definitely has trauma with the Borg also, just as much as Picard. But it's not his movie. I'm glad as much. I love Sisko, I really do. But it would have been weird to shoehorn him into this movie somehow, and I'm glad they didn't.
A couple quick things since we just passed through that space battle. One of the pieces of debris in the final explosion was actually the Millennium Falcon. ILM added it in there as a funny little thing, and they added an R2-D2 into the 2009 Star Trek in the same way. But also, the one of the ships there is their new Steamrunner class, which is named the USS Thunderchild, after the ship from the War of the Worlds.
It's an Akira class, Zach. Get your
shit.
It's an Akira class. I will fight you. It's an Akira class. The Steamrunner class is in that battle. It is. The Akira class is the Thunderchild. Google it.
Why would they have a Steamrunner class not be Thunderchild when the Thunderchild was a steamship?
I don't know what to tell you, man. You're wrong.
Also, that little line there of Riker turning to Worf and be like, "Tough little ship," is a direct reference to when Jonathan Frakes cameoed on Star Trek Deep Space Nine and called the Defiant a tough little ship as Riker's evil twin, Thomas Riker.
It's interesting. This movie's gonna be interesting because it moves at such a clip rate that we're talking about stuff. We're already on to like the next section. That space battle's already over, and I just want to have a podcast about the space battle.
Right? Oh, it's such a good space battle, and those blue torpedoes, the quantum torpedoes, and the sound effects they make. Yeah. I used to have that as a ringtone or a text tone.
Nice.
Dang it, you're right. It is an Akira class. That sucks.
I'm about to say, like, don't challenge me on Star Trek starships, because the ships are my area of specialty, man.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. The Steamrunner class.
I get you, and it definitely was a missed opportunity. I don't disagree, but you're still wrong.
Yeah. And here they're already just jumping straight into the path.
Yeah.
And it's not like some sort
of. We are 14 minutes into this thing, including the credits, and we're already back in time.
Chronoton particles. Time travel. Get in its wake. Okay.
I mean, talk about
time traveled.
A hand wavy, like in Star Trek 4, there's a whole like thing about it. All right, now this is really dangerous, and it's we're kind of taking a shot here, and we got to get ready and slingshot around the sun and. This movie's just like the Borg, just like, that's just time travel. How are you doing it? They just do it. There's no, and the same thing when the Enterprise goes back at the end of the movie, we've just like matched their course back. What? Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's just totally fine. But this movie hand waves time travel so hard.
Oh, and here we have the introduction of the character of Zefram Cochrane, but also the character of Lily, who was originally named Ruby, and they reused that later as that holodeck character. But we were played by Alfre Woodard, and they actually the expanded universe, like the books and stuff that they set between this and Enterprise, they make her a major character as like one of the like just an incredibly important character for the creation of the early version of the Federation. And Alfre Woodard is such a good actress.
She really
Like
is.
she's amazing. I love her to death. It's very small but memorable role in Captain America: Civil War. But also, like, if you ever watched the show C or Luke Cage, just really good.
I'm glad that they did right there. Again, this movie is actually pretty good on plot holes. That, Riker immediately right there is like, shields are down. So the idea the Borg got on is not, there's not a lot of room for nitpicking the tech in this. I mean, there's...
excuse me, Deck 26?
Whatever. I mean, hey, it's way better than, like, Deck 90 whatever in Star Trek 5.
There's a famous Star Trek plot hole in this movie in which they firmly establish the technical readouts have 24 decks on the Enterprise E, the Sovereign class. And then you have a guy report that the Borg have taken decks 16 through 26. It's like, wait a second.
But that to me is, I mean, you're right, but that's one of those, just like you can tell, like, just a script error that just snuck its way through. But 2 extra decks is way better than 30 extra decks in the Enterprise A.
Right? Oh, 50. But it's funny. The missile silo in northern Montana, that's actually a real thing. There's the Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Fall, Montana, and that's the site of many famous UFO sightings. And it's even referenced in things like the X-Files and other places as being a potential Air Force base for experimental spacecraft. So that's my funny thing.
Huh?
The number one you have to bridge. There's this whole thing. The original script that Jonathan Frakes wrote, and I think, or that he approved, I should say, and that he didn't want to change, had it so that Picard is the one who's down on the planet the whole time, and it's Riker who's fighting the Borg, being the action hero. But they were like, no, and it was actually Patrick Stewart who was just like, why am I not the one up there? One, he said that he wanted to flex his action muscles. And then 2, he was like, it's more thematically relevant if it was Picard up there fighting the Borg. And they were like, damn it, he's right.
Yeah. And I mean, Riker gets some great moments down here. One thing I'll say that this movie does is it manages to give every member of the cast at least one good moment. And actually, again, kind of similar to Voyage Home, where you have, obviously it's still, I mean, this is the Picard and Data show. But it does really manage to give every other cast member at least one, if not 2, just solid, memorable scenes. A lot of them, humor based, which again, Voyage Home was great about that. Even though it was still the Kirk, Spock and McCoy show, you have those great moments with the rest of the crew, and I'm glad they did that.
Yeah. Oh, this freaking gun. Okay. This is one of the first guns ever to have one of those helical magazines that carries like 100 rounds. Really strange gun, and they specifically made it to be kind of like science fiction-y. It's a Calico, I think. Yeah, Calico, M951, and it's just a weird, dumb little gun, and I love it.
Did it seem odd to you that Data would be like bulletproof from like a rifle round?
No, that seems plausible.
I
would armor him up like that if I was building him.
I guess so.
And it does also establish that he's pretty heavy, so you'd assume that he's fairly dense. And he gets whacked on the head with things a lot in the TV show, and he doesn't even take it in. So, I mean, a 9mm. Oh, funny piece of trivia that I learned about this movie. That gun that she had there is the first appearance of any type of holographic sight in film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Even we were talking about this. Gates McFadden, she she doesn't get a ton, but she does get the great scene with the EMH later. And I do think that she gets the, it kind of gets passed over because people immediately go to Picard and Lily arguing in the conference room. But that moment where she's like, when the captain gives his orders, that's the end of the conversation. Like, I mean, it's a small moment, but I think that she does it really well too. Like, this guy. Okay, Stargate connection here. The guy he leaves in charge that goes up. He's the head of the Lucian Alliance.
That's right. Because he actually pops up in a lot of science fiction off and on. His name's Eric Steinberg, and from what I understand,
got a great
I did look him up because he looked really familiar. But yeah, he's one of those guys who's just in everything.
Data's vest doesn't have any bullet holes in it anymore. Just want to point that out.
They replicated a new one and sent it down in order to avoid. No, okay. This is a real missile.
Yeah,
they actually got access to a silo of a decommissioned atomic weapon in Arizona, and they flew them out there, and they had them film all of these scenes in an actual missile silo.
Well, it's just I mean, it makes so much sense. One, you save money not having to build this insane set, and two, I think the actors, if you put them in an actual missile silo against an actual decommissioned missile, you would be helping the actors, in this scene. So yeah, I'm glad they did that.
Yeah. Okay. The reason I was going to bring up that one guy that you mentioned, who he left in charge, right? So the actor's name is Eric Steinberg. He's called Porter. He is one of the main characters in the video game called Ghosts of Tsushima, which is one of the best and most beautiful video games I have ever played. Anybody who likes video games who hasn't gotten a chance to play Ghosts of Tsushima, you should go play it. I'm not even a big fan of Japanese culture. I think that people get weirdly attached to it, and I kind of hate that. But dang, is that an amazing game. And his performance as Lord Shimura is amazing.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the ending.
And all these shots look so good. The Enterprise E, again, and CG has come a long way, but the model looks so good. What do you think, by the way?
One of the things that they do in this movie that's really good. Sorry, what?
Well, sorry, really fast. Go ahead and make your point. Then I wanted to ask you about the uniforms, but go ahead and do your thing first.
Oh, yeah, the uniforms. So one of the things that's really good in this movie is that they take all of these characters and they show them in multiple scenes. There's this scene that was just in engineering, showing all the engineers. There's a later scene when they're all gearing up and getting their weapons, and we only have like 13 shots, and you're going to see other members assimilated, like yada, yada, yada. They pop up later in the movie as Borg. A lot of them are stunt people and extras who are getting made up, and they have them established in the background already as crewmen. Well, it's not like they just...
Yeah. Well, because they only had the budget for what, like I think a dozen or so Borg, and they kind of mix and match them a little bit. I know that they I remember hearing that specifically in Jonathan Frakes' commentary years ago when I watched it. I love that they get their one like very cliche but iconic horror movie, girl scream right there.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, so if tell me correct me if I'm wrong. This is the movie where they introduced the new uniform, and then when the DS9 came back that fall after this movie came out, they had also switched to that uniform, I believe. Or was it DS9 first?
It was a mid-season switch, not just a new season switch, because this came out in November and they had the winter break. Yeah. Because I remember the new uniforms pop up in the middle of the season, because they had this whole thing about having Bashir be revealed to be a changeling, and then when they found him in actual real life, he was wearing the old uniform. But that contradicts like 2 episodes where he has like great personal growth that are about him while he's wearing the new uniform. So it's messy. Continuity errors.
But I do like the whole Dominion War. This is a darker time in Starfleet, just getting the uniforms kind of more muted. I think it tonally fits with where Star Trek was at this point in its run.
Oh, yeah. I think that this was a really good choice. I like these uniforms a lot. I think that they're like my last favorite uniforms. Because when they do like the future stuff in Voyager Endgame, I wasn't a big fan of the costumes. Then we get into Discovery, okay? And Discovery's uniforms, the blue and silver, they weren't bad. They were just a little bit too monochromatic for the whole cast to be wearing them. And then you get into the future stuff of Discovery Season 3 and onward, where it's like a lot of gray. And I really don't like their overuse of gray and cream colors. I think it looks bad. And so these are kind of my last favorite uniforms. Though the ones in Star Trek Picard were pretty decent in the third season.
So I just want to clarify. When you say last favorite, you're saying like your least favorite?
No. These are
like your last
the ones that
uniforms that you really like. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I would need a clarification.
But the ones that they have in Star Trek Picard, which are kind of similar to this one in like their darkness and the piping, but they still have a little bit more color, are pretty darn good.
Yeah. No, I liked these because I felt like they fit with the tone. I mean, there's that shift from, Next Gen was a bright, kind of return to, optimism and went away from the more militaristic maroon, original crew movies. Oh man, okay, I gotta break in here because what a great cameo. I mean, this is just what a great way to bring in the Doctor for just a brief. Obviously, it's not the same, Doctor, but this is such a great moment. And then his line here is just, it makes me chuckle every time.
Yeah.
Doctor, not a doorstop.
Well, this right here is a straight up reuse of the Voyager set. They just changed the color of the walls. This is the
they threw some
this is the sick bay from Voyager.
Yeah, they literally just like tweaked the lighting, a little bit of color, and called it a day.
Yeah. They used a lot of corridors from Voyager. They did the same thing. They just painted it a different color for a little bit.
Well, it makes sense too because at this point, out of the sets, Voyager was the most modern ship, and so it would have made sense to use it for Sovereign, because for the Sovereign class, because it would have been Voyager was designed to look like the next step beyond what the D was, and then the Defiant obviously has its own very unique aesthetic, so you couldn't use a lot of its stuff. And DS9 is all Cardassian, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's actually a whole bunch of cameos throughout this movie.
Oh yeah. Well, I love it. Okay,
having Robert Picardo pop up on there.
Oh yeah. Did it ever? I don't know what. Okay, the two different types of phaser rifles. You have these that are like more of a cylinder barrel, and then they have the ones that are a little more of a squared barrel. And it always bugged me here that Picard picks up that one, but then the ones behind him there on the rack is what he actually has later. It's a tiny continuity error that even as a kid, I love the square barrel, because that is the phaser rifle that you get in Elite Force, the video game.
Yeah.
And I think it looks better.
Which is my favorite gun in the entire game.
Oh, yeah.
That thing is so great. It vaporizing people.
Oh, yeah. It looks great. And I never liked the all-black cylinder-style barrel. And so there was always one of those things of like, oh, they gave Picard the better one, but he doesn't. It was just, it always stuck out to me, even though it's a minor continuity error. But this whole scene is fun.
Oh, yes. This is actually the movie that taught me what tequila was.
6-year-old Zach learning about tequila.
No, I'm 6 or 7 years old. I'm watching this movie. And she has this line here. And I turn around and I'm like, what's tequila? And he's like,
something called tequila.
A very hard liquor. And I'm like, what's liquor?
The performances in this scene are so good. James Cromwell's great here. Marina Sirtis, I'm like, good for her. She got this great scene. She got to be silly. It's so good. And I like that Jonathan Frakes gets to kind of be the straight man in a way, because he usually is, a little bit more of the prankster, right? And this is the one.
And his nonverbal acting in this scene is amazing. You just watch Jonathan Frakes. Cochrane spits, and he looks at where he spits.
Yeah.
And he's just like looking at Deanna. He's looking at Cochrane. He's looking at the booze. The concern in his eyes. The confusion.
Watching Deanna drink.
The disgust. He's going through every stage of grief and hilarity all at once.
And the fact that what we just watched is all one. This is all one take. So
yeah. No time to argue about time. We don't have the time.
The little hair thing there, and again, I've read not read. I've seen in one or two interviews that Marina Sirtis just loved this scene. She had so much fun doing it. I guess apparently when she read the script, she like squealed because she's like, I get this scene. So it was good times.
Yeah. Because she very famously, like, the majority of the actors are like, this is my favorite one of the movies. But she apparently liked Generations more, but did say this was a lot of fun filming. It's a
Primitive culture.
I get the problems people have with the continuity of the character of Zefram Cochrane, because he was such an earnest explorer in that episode that he popped up in the original series, and here they change him into just a grub. That's the best way to put it. I think it was Caravan of Garbage who called him that, and it's perfect. He's
the guy in the background,
gross, narcissistic weirdo.
It just pops back up and grabs a drink. Sorry, I interrupt you there. Okay. And then, man, he got that head snap timed with her head going down so perfectly. It's just, it's good. It's good stuff.
There's a character that pops up throughout the movie, and I believe he was in one brief scene here, where he was briefly at the beginning, and he's at the end a little bit more. He's the bartender of that establishment. And he looks a little weird. He has dark hair. He's old. He has a bowl cut. And some people said he looks like a Vulcan. So that they used that in a number of apocrypha. They refer to it as Star Trek Apocrypha, which is the books. They're non-canon. But they established him as actually that he is a Vulcan. The Vulcan that was left behind in the episode Carbon Creek.
Nice.
And Carbon Creek he recognized Cochrane's genius. And when World War III was going down, he actually saved he actually saved Cochrane and got him to this missile base so he could continue his work, because he knew that humanity could finally get to the stars through Cochrane's work. But yeah, the all of a sudden the phaser rifles are totally different.
Yeah,
which I'm glad, because the other ones just look like penises.
They really did. But as this action sequence continues, they change again once or twice. It's definitely, if you watch the phaser rifles, they'll make you crazy as they change around.
Mistral, that was the character's name. Mistral. He was the Vulcan that was left behind on Earth in Carbon Creek. Which is just a great episode of Star Trek.
Oh yeah, that's great. Worf's got the other style again, even though the previous scene of him walking down the corridor, he had the square one. Just oh goodness. I love that they got Nurse Ocampa.
Ocampa?
Not Ocampa. Sorry, that's.
For those of you who don't know, Ocampa are a species from Star Trek Voyager.
Go ahead. And here we go. He's got the wrong one again.
It's Ogawa, by the way. There's Ogawa, who did actually appear in Star Trek Generations, but she didn't have any lines.
Yeah, but if you look, he's got the penis one again.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Quite phallic.
Staring at me.
Mm-hmm.
The music here again is so good.
So this was a complete redesign of the Borg, but actually it was more faithful to the original design of the Borg that they wanted, that they couldn't afford in the original.
Well, they're greasier, but the prosthetics look so much better. If you go back and you watch, was it Q? What's the name of the episode? Q something.
Q-Who.
They were all Q something. You know, those early episodes where Q would pop in the name of the episode, but where he throws them. I mean. You can tell as a TV budget, right? You know, it looks rough, but these really look good. These Borg look good,
and they got mileage out of these guys. Okay, they reused
Voyager use these guys
suits for Voyager. Like, this was Voyager's. Voyager wanted to use the Borg. That was actually the plan from the beginning of the show, but they were constantly told not yet, not yet, not yet, because they wanted to use them for a movie. They weren't sure if they wanted to bring them into Deep Space Nine, because they weren't sure how well the Dominion War thing was going to go on, and there was a potential pivot to the Borg. And so when the Dominion War started going down, they're like, okay, this is where we want to take it. And then they make this movie. They actually tease the Borg in the Delta Quadrant in this movie. And a year and a half after this aired, or after this came out, they had the Borg pop up at the very end of the episode, Blood Fever, which was where B'Elanna ends up going through Pon farr because of a mind meld.
Oh gosh.
And it's and they used it from there. And then you had Seven of Nine and the Borg Queen and all this stuff. Also, look very carefully at the Borg, okay? One of them has an eyeball, one of the fake eyes, okay? That is the central orb from a toy TIE fighter.
Seriously?
Yes.
Nice.
And they even did that as like a little reference. But yeah, Data's my mom would actually make me not look at this thing when he breaks the Borg's neck. Like, apparently that was a bridge too far.
Ooh, the poor guy. He tried.
They really established the Borg here, man.
Oh yeah. Well, they really reestablish the Borg as, you know, just this threat. I feel like, because the Borg had in Next Gen, you obviously had Best of Both Worlds, which is, you know, just an all, you know, one of the greats. Not sure what my original thought was there. The guy behind him looks confused, like the extra, just because Picard. He really did kind of look like, what's happening? I'm not really sure. Anyways, I mean, so you had the, you know, the Borg in Best of Both Worlds, you know, just one of the greats, and then after that, Next Gen actually, you know, and in some ways, I would say is wisely didn't overuse them. They had the really interesting episode with I mean, Iborg with Hugh. It was a great episode with Picard.
The Descent was a little...
Well, that's what I was about to say. Descent really, to me, because they turned it into a lore episode, and the Borg were much, you know, they tried to humanize them. I mean, again, the writing explains why. But what I'm saying is that Next Gen actually didn't overuse the Borg as like as a threat, as a, you know, the kind of threat they were in Best of Both Worlds. And this movie kind of reestablished how dangerous they were, and I appreciated that. Now, you and I disagree a little bit on the Queen, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I definitely give this movie props for making the Borg seem dangerous, because as much as Descent's a perfectly fine two-parter, it didn't help the Borg's mystique at all.
No, it didn't. But it had such great character moments. It's not the greatest two-parter. It's just kind of a meh. It's not bad, but it has stuff like having Crusher in command of the Enterprise, and having to fight off the Borg renegade ship, which is just good. She does really good in that. It's fun.
They even give her the tactical officer that's questioning her that gets put in his place a little bit, which is always fun.
Yeah. This actually, speaking of that, this is
Borg
the
right
only there. Yeah. This is the only time in all of Star Trek, outside of her being referred to as Admiral at the end of Star Trek Picard Season 3, that Crusher is addressed by her rank and not her title of Doctor. She specifically gives Commander Beverly Crusher during the self-destruct scene.
The apparatus they got him strapped to is it's interesting. I mean, it makes sense for how strong he is, but it was always interesting that, like, I always thought, couldn't you just like slip your hands out of those things? I mean, the way he's holding on to them, you know, it just seemed a little bit I don't know. Even as a kid, I'm like, hey, I feel like Data could get out of this thing if he wanted to.
I don't know. If I was the Borg, I'd have it strapped down real tight so he wouldn't be able to pull it off.
Yeah. I always really this. This always hurt me as a kid. I was just like, oh, poor Data's
When I showed this to my wife, she was like, ew. She really didn't like that. But the question of the Borg Queen, they had in the script this idea of the Borg, like kind of hive mind talking to Data, but they couldn't get it to work without it just being stupid and dull. So they decided to introduce the Queen. But one of the ideas that they had was introducing the idea of the Queen into Voyager and actually establishing the Queen as a parasite who infiltrated the Borg. And the Borg's quest for perfection wasn't actually as, like, Locust-like. originally, but it was actually this one species who infiltrated the Borg and began to warp them more towards conquest and destruction and a search for perfection through conquest. Um, and there was this whole thing, and they wrote a couple of books dealing with that. But essentially, some of them have established the Borg Queen's race as being such an incredible natural processor that they make them so that way they're able to deal with the biological process in addition to a vinculum, which is for the technological process. And that's the excuse that they give. Or some of them make it so that her species is actually parasitic, that latched onto the Borg and is able to control them almost in their own will.
See, I would have been honestly, I would have enjoyed that more. My thing with the Queen is, I think the Borg are better as a force that's kind of
Mhm.
cold, and the Queen in this movie really makes them more like she takes it personal. Like she has a vendetta, and they're like humanity is like this source of irritation that they need to take. I mean, it personalizes the conflict in a way that I get audiences like and attached to. But on a pure intellectual idea, I like the Borg as just a cold, harsh, like force of nature. Like that you're like mad at a virus, or you're like mad at yeah, a swarm of locusts. There's that I like the Borg where there's nothing personal about it whatsoever. That it is all cold and
Yeah.
calculating, and just this you are fighting like nature itself almost. And I personally like the idea of that better, even though the performances are great. Again, I love this movie. I'll happily watch it. I don't think that the Borg got ruined. I'm not arguing that. I just personally think that they neutered the Borg's uh, mystique to me by bringing the Queen in and kind of changing the hierarchy of how the Borg work. But that's
Yeah.
a very personal
You see,
preference.
you see, we've talked about this a little bit because that's exactly how my dad, who absolutely loves the movie Alien, feels about the movie Aliens. Where, because we talked about this, where the moment in Aliens when the Queen suddenly backs off because Ripley puts her eggs in danger,
Yeah,
suddenly humanizes the aliens, and suddenly they're no longer this unknowable alien force. They're just like us but different. And he hated that, and I found that really interesting. And I think that's a very similar issue that you have here. um yeah, the improvement in technology between the last appearance of the Borg and their ability to um not assimilate, adapt,
yeah.
you know, is
Oh, that's a
so
brutal
good in
shot
this
with
movie.
the
It's like
skin being
such an
stretched
incredible
over.
upgrade.
Yeah, the eye
You
here.
know,
Yeah, the prosthetic work in this movie is, I mean, so good.
there it is. That was a TIE
Oh,
fighter.
the TIE Fighter. You're okay.
Yeah, that was it. That was a clear plastic TIE fighter window that they put into. If you pause it and look at it, it's the same shape as the TIE fighter central ball, um, just with a little bit of different paint, and they put it on there. It's just a nice little nod and reference.
There you go.
And I just think
Deck
it's great.
26 up to 11.
26 up to 11. Yeah. Um,
I like the detail of their collars. You know, kind of most of them kind of zip down and a little more sweat, but Worf is still just like very stoically like, nah, I'm keeping my collar zipped up.
yeah. Well, it established that the Bork. I'm the Swedish chef now. That the Borg
37.9.
like it hot.
Yeah.
36.2 degrees Celsius, I think that they said, which is something
37.9.
like 137.9. Thank you. 37.9 degrees Celsius, which is the equivalent of 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's a little toasty.
So it's warm, sweaty, gooey. The visual effects in this scene are not the greatest.
The Earth looks a little bit green screeny.
A little bit matte, shall we
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, this I love this. I love the line so much. I mean, we already passed it, but the whole "you better start moving" or "you better start talking" or "I'm going to start pushing buttons." The way
Yeah.
she delivers the "I'm going to start pushing buttons" line. Yeah, the Earth looks kind of fake there. It looks like somebody
Yeah,
rolled a poster around a beach ball.
exactly.
But
Like there's no motion, there's no blur. It's
yeah,
just yeah.
but I mean, Patrick Stewart, he's one of the most reliable actors you can get. but he does such a good job in this movie. You can tell he likes the script. He and Alfred, they have. I didn't pronounce her name right. I'm sorry, but they have
It's like
great
Alfred.
Alfred. Yeah, they have great chemistry just together. It was a good way to pair them together and give, like, who would be able to look at Picard and kind of not see him as Captain Picard, right? And it's just a great writing way to put a character here who would challenge him, who it wouldn't be like, well, that character would never talk to Captain Picard like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
and it like couldn't be Worf coming back or something like that, because they like would they then be trying to make it the Data and Worf movie or and Picard? You know, they needed somebody new. They also needed like a female lead.
Yeah.
Because this part wouldn't have fit for Crusher or Troy.
No.
You know.
Well, and they really
bring back Pulaski.
Her and Cochrane both like truly get like guest star roles. I mean, they both have significant parts of the plot. They both significantly oh, there's another Klingon. Okay, I always wondered about this. So, did the Enterprise have another Klingon crew member?
They must have, or it was one of the original Borg that beamed over from the sphere.
That could have been it. Because, I mean, there's. I'm trying to remember in DS9 if they kept with. Okay, this effect shot. Sorry, I got it. This is such a good. I remember years ago watching a breakdown of how they did this, and again, this is such a master example of blending practical in frame tricks with some CG stitching, and it just looks so good. Oh, yeah, that like final of like the hooks going in and then pulling the skin tight, and then
and keeping it all as one shot.
Yeah, and this whole thing, the makeup job on her, the prosthetic work on her, is truly outstanding.
Yeah. Which they had to fiddle with during filming, because she was like, for a while, she was just in agony filming this. Poor Alice Creek. She what's the word I'm looking for? Her contacts hurt her eyes so badly. These silver black contacts. That she could only wear them for about 4 minutes at a time. And then the actual suit, they had to redo it because it was chafing so badly that it was giving her these horrible blisters in places. And she just she needed something different, and they worked really hard to help her with that, which is admirable.
Yeah.
At least that's what they've said.
What did we watch with her in it? I cannot remember. I know we watched something.
Realm.
Thor the Dark. Okay. Like I know there was another movie that we watched that had her in it where she's just like, just herself, and it's like, oh, good for her.
Yeah. She was the doctor on Asgard who was checking out Natalie Portman's character of Jane Foster, because she had the ether inside of her, talking about the quantum field generator.
Brent Spiner is, I mean, he and we talked about this in Generations. He and Patrick Stewart are both just they're
so great. They're world class.
They really are. Now this skin is from a particular part of the human body. I am sure of it, right?
Well, you think it's supposed to be penis skin?
Well, I was thinking a little further south, but yeah, like it's just something about it that just always made me think that this is very sexual.
Well, I think it's supposed to be. I don't think it's supposed to be a scrotum. I think it's just supposed to be arm skin.
I don't know, man.
What, you think it's a scrotum?
I'm not trying to be weird, but even as a kid, I was like, that just looks like, I don't know.
Sheesh.
Okay.
I'm never gonna unsee that, and it's already sexual enough in this movie.
It's very. This whole sequence, this conversation has been the basis of so many arguments about kind of the Federation and the how things work monetary wise, and kind of just the idea we seek to better ourselves, and money doesn't really exist. And it's interesting because this conversation is used a lot when you talk about Star Trek, right? But there's also so many examples, specifically in DS9, about Starfleet officers existing kind of outside of a Starfleet ship, and currency and how things kind of. It's interesting, the contrast of. I love this piece of writing, but it is an interesting contrast to other Star Trek content that was being produced at the same time. I mean, again, DS9 in particular, because even at the time, it felt like Picard's kind of giving an ideal, not the entire reality of the situation.
Yeah, that's how I take it, because I'm thinking of like the ideals that we have in terms of capitalism. Okay, I think that politics talk here. Capitalism is actually the best possible method we could have for an economic system, but it requires certain things. It requires certain considerations and laws and controls that, especially right now, aren't necessarily being adhered to. So I can sit here and say, like a Ben Shapiro or something, like, "Ooh, capitalism is the best way to go because of X, Y, and Z," but that doesn't reflect the truth of what our economic system looks like right now.
Yeah. What is interesting, because again, specifically from the the early next gen idea, the next gen days, where Gene Roddenberry had his hand in that first season really heavily, and was really trying to get back to his very optimistic, and I would almost call it simplistic, vision of the future. To, at this point, we're several seasons into DS9, and we're really starting to explore that a little more realistically. I mean, not to piss off any Star Trek fans, but a little more realistically of what a human future, where we have come very, very, very far, but it's not quite as perfect as what Picard just said there, and what like the first season or two of TNG would have you believe. Oh,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Ethan Phillips. It's Neelix.
Yep. Here we have. Yes, Neelix. He wanted to cameo, but they were like, "I don't know, people recognize you." He's just like, "No, I'm an alien the whole time. They're not going to recognize me. It'll be fine." And so they're like, "Yeah, why not? Let's do it." And this is the result. And he specifically asked that his name not be put into the credits, and it's not, because he wanted to like confuse fans. Like it was
because they'd be looking for him in the credits.
Joke.
Yeah. This is such a fun little sequence. Especially again, and one thing I like is that you can absolutely watch this movie and it will tell you what you need to know to enjoy it without having ever seen Star Trek before. But if you are a huge Trekkie, there's so many little bits. I mean, revisiting. Well, gosh, when was the last Dixon Hill episode in Next Gen? I mean, that was like season 3 or 4. Like they didn't do Dixon Hill stuff into the later TNG.
No, they started going into more of the Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes thing.
It's like this is a throwback to like early Next Gen to have Dixon Hill, and I like those little nods to people who have been fans the whole time. Get these little moments of like, oh yeah, this is still a thing, and Captain Picard, he didn't stop doing Dixon Hill. Nikki the Nose, what a great prop!
It's just it's such a good use of the lore and like Dick Tracy style stuff, and just the contrast of what the Borg are. Oh, that guy's the stunt coordinator.
Oh, nice.
Which I found interesting.
Champagne flute to the head, or not a flute, the bucket. Sorry, champagne bucket.
This is possibly one of the most realistic depictions of a Thompson in movies, in the fact that it is so loud and it is so inaccurate. The sight picture on a freaking Thompson
he doesn't bother to even try to aim down the sights.
No. I heard it said once, and I think that this is a perfect description of a Thompson, is that the sights on a Thompson are more of a suggestion. and I think that's perfect.
This is a rough scene though here too, and
this is
Lily really nails this, just because you can imagine from her point of view, like what.
Oh God, he's crazy.
Yeah. And then just this, where she notices, man, Picard's reaction to this it sets the stage for. I love that this movie doesn't just have that really famous conference room scene kind of come out of nowhere. You can see the table being set for it right here.
Yeah, and just like she's supposed to be the one from the primitive culture, right?
Yeah.
And he's the one acting like a barbarian.
Yeah.
Like no concern for his people.
Well, and not only she came out like she was quote unquote primitive. I mean, she just came out of like World War III. So if anybody should be desensitized to violence, it would have been her on paper, right? But like the fact that she's the sensitive one is, yeah, no, I agree. I love that they got Dwight Schultz to come back and play Barkley just as another great little, cameo. And not really a cameo even. I mean, he's an established, guest star and he has some lines here, but it's just a fun little way to bring him in for, a beat.
Yeah.
Jordy's
and they end
glasses
up
look so
using that.
goofy.
And they end up using that to bring him back into the fold, and he ends up becoming a recurring character on Star Trek Voyager, as the founder of the Pathfinder project, or the spearhead of the Pathfinder project to bring Voyager home, leading to some of its best and funniest episodes.
Yeah, he's such a great comedic actor too. I mean, he's just obviously very famous for the A-Team, but he's just a great comedic actor in whatever he's in.
Oh my god, him and the A-Team! I didn't realize just how funny he was in that show until I saw some of it a few years back. It was freaking. He's amazing.
Yeah,
I had no idea how good of an actor he was.
It's like it leaves him hanging there. Oh, I especially love just the LeVar Burton, just like telling him like calm down, and then immediately does the same thing in a way that seems like calmer, but basically is guilty of the same crime, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Very much so guilty of the same crime.
Oh, Geordi's vest is a little odd too, with like the armhole like
yeah,
texture.
They look like freaking orange slices.
It's odd. It's just weird. Oh man.
Do you realize how tall of a statue he's describing?
Oh, well, 30 meters. I mean, yeah, we're talking just shy of 100 feet tall.
Doesn't he say 60 meters?
I thought he said. Well, let's see. We're about to. Historical monument.
A historical monument. It was the exact spot where your statue's gonna be.
Statue? 20 meters tall.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's still
huge.
like 45 feet. I mean, that's,
45 feet, 20 times 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. 60, no, but at 65, 70. Because a meter is a little more than a yard, right? Or is it a little bit less? A meter's a little more, right? Okay.
Leak. I like the acknowledgement, the different slang of the time is like, because 1997, 1996, you say, oh, I have to take a leak, everybody's going to know what you mean. But he's from so far in the future that maybe that type of slang isn't necessarily going to be common, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's pretty smart to do.
Reports of my simulation have been greatly exaggerated.
That was Mark Twain, right? The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
I believe so. Just Worf immediately going like, I get it. I'm not gonna although
time traveled. Yeah, I know.
Also, especially the fact that you've been seeing up close and personal with Borg. I love that she just immediately sits in like captain's chair. Just like I gotta.
She wouldn't know. She just wants a comfy chair.
It's like I gotta sit down, and nobody even like notices. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
This whole sequence coming up on the this is a great action sequence because it blends very sci-fi ideas. It's tense. I don't know. It's paced really well. I think it doesn't get the credit it deserves in kind of sci-fi action scenes because it is slow. I mean, it's very much a Star Trek paced scene in that fact that they're not running and shooting a ton, but it shows characters being creative. It puts them in an interesting environment. I love the whole deflector sequence. Deflector dish sequence. I'm assuming you do also.
Yeah, I do too. I think that there's a couple scenes where it's like, but I like the design of the spacesuits. This is actually the first time that you see the next gen crew in spacesuits at all. And they the design is really good, and they reuse them in the future in Voyager and in a couple episodes of Deep Space Nine, I think. But
well, it's interesting because obviously they use spacesuits.
Took a ton of their budget. This is where a lot of the budget for the entire movie went. Is this sequence, and it was very difficult to shoot. They didn't want to just make it flat because they thought it would look boring. They needed it to be visually dynamic. They wanted to make sure that they paid off the reason that they were doing this entire sequence, instead of just having them need to go take out this experiment they're doing in the middle of the ship. Like, they needed to give the proper spectacle, and putting this scene together was very difficult.
This establishing shot, this panning shot around, and then seeing them, and then starting with them upside down. Oh yeah, they got that little bit of the board in there.
That is the same tones that they used for V'ger.
Oh. They also randomly have the third version of the phaser rifle in these scenes with the foregrip. It's a little bit different. They have 3 different phaser rifle models in this movie.
How did I never notice it? Oh my gosh, they do have a foregrip.
Yeah, it's a totally different phaser rifle.
Why did they have so many different phaser rifles?
Sir,
they're just... Where's the armorer in here?
Well, and then what's funny is like Voyager had its own, that big thick one that Voyager had with like the fork at the end.
That was Deep Space Nine.
No, that was Voyager.
Well,
Deep Space Nine stuck with the classic, the original Next Gen one, like that very like simple, looks like a standard hand phaser put onto a butt.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
They had that for a while. Go watch through Way of the Warrior, but then they changed over to these ones.
No, they didn't. Go watch the Siege AR-559. It is those. DS9 never used these phaser rifles.
Really?
I promise, man.
Maybe because they were too busy using them for Voyager.
Yeah, well I'm saying Voyager had their own, because Voyager had the center of it got really big. It was this like odd like cylinder with like 2 flat pieces on it. It was only on Voyager, and I think there might even been a line that, we have these like experimental rifles or something. I don't know. There was something about it. Oh, you know what? I just realized how his hands don't get out. At least a left one. They showed it when it was open. There's like a cylinder that goes down that like pinches his wrist.
Yeah.
But the way that his left hand is, it's down low enough that I think they did it just to make, Brent Spiner comfortable in this thing, right? Because
crap, I'm thinking of the sniper rifle from the Esri episode.
Yeah, that doesn't count. That's its own thing.
That doesn't count. You're right. That bothers me so much, because these are such cool rifles, and those weird penis rifles are just obnoxious.
No, other than Elite Force and then the next 2 films, these rifle models were never used again.
I know that they use them on Voyager. I know Voyager better than you. I promise. They upgrade.
How did Voyager get these models then?
They sent them the plans or something.
Oh, maybe. Well, no, because I think the one where Janeway goes all commando with the big virus or whatever. She's got.
Oh yeah.
She's got one of these, doesn't she? I remember that episode.
No, I don't think so.
She definitely has a rifle.
That was one of the earlier seasons.
No, she definitely has a phaser rifle. She's not just toting a hand phaser.
No, she has a phaser rifle, but it's not one of these phaser rifles.
Okay. See, I weirdly...
So the other new phaser rifle seen in Star Trek First Contact are used in the 3rd and 4th season of Star Trek Voyager. They are moved up to the Star Trek Compression Rifle. So, yeah, they do transfer over to these ones.
Okay.
I'm not crazy.
You're not crazy. Well, you're right. You do know Voyager better than I do. But DS9, definitely, they stuck to the bitter end to the original rifle, which I kind of like, because it looks cheaper.
Oh, you like the penis gun?
No. The original. The kind that
the original looks even more like a penis.
Well, the end is, to me, I like it because... No, stop it. I like the fact that it looks very practical, because the entire head assembly of it is exactly the same as the hand phaser. So the idea that it's basically the exact same emitter assembly with a bigger power cell behind it and the ability to hold it like a rifle, it screams like very practical to me, and it has a very utilitarian kind of stripped down. It's not fancy. It's a little bit grittier, and I like that in DS9's tone. Again, the Siege of AR 558 is one of those episodes that highlights it so well, and it's such a powerful episode. Anyways, sorry, I could talk about DS9 all night, so we should get back to this.
No, I totally get that. Do you find it annoying that Deep Space Nine didn't get its own feature film?
No, because I really liked the last 10 episodes, the whole like where they left it, and I think now I would enjoy it if way later they had kind of tried to resolve it somehow, but I almost kind of like it just being left where it was, even though it definitely had some hanging threads.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Could you
I
see
almost
some sort of like adaptation of Heart of Darkness or something
maybe.
for Star Trek of them trying to go find Cisco in the Delta Quadrant?
There was a way you could do it for sure, but I do think that DS9 was so good because of its serialization that doing a movie version, like trying to do a movie where you do a 2-hour, big episode essentially would be. It could definitely be done if you get the right creative team. I have no doubt it could be done and done phenomenally well. I do think that we're past the point. I mean, I think that if we were going to do that,
we definitely are.
Yeah,
the only time they could have done it
years
is
ago?
Picard.
Yeah,
they could have done it in Picard and like had a follow up, but they decided to focus on Next Gen, which I get.
I'm genuinely surprised we didn't get a cameo though from somebody in DS9 since they brought the changelings in. But go ahead.
Especially not freaking Cole Meany, okay?
Yeah.
Which he would have been great if they brought him into this movie. Like if they had him down on Earth the whole time, and he's getting like his butt kicked.
Well, and
that'd be hilarious
because he's the one of the best actors like Worf that is both. He's O'Brien in both Next Gen and DS9. So yeah,
he would fit in really well in this.
And Cole Meany is just a great actor.
So. Oh yeah, Hell on Wheels with Anson Mount, who goes on to play Pike. He's really good in that. But I wanted to know that whole scene of them with Cochrane, and he's like running through the woods and everything. I can smell that.
Oh yeah, I'm right with you. That is.
I know those woods. It smells like Dan's house.
Yep. Yeah. Those trees, that whole AI. It does. It has its own smell.
Yeah. Also, the statue. Did you know that you actually see that statue in what's it called? Lower Decks.
Oh, in Lower Decks. Okay.
Yeah. In Lower Decks, they go to that statue at one point and they're all like touristing around, like, I need to take pictures of the statue of Zefram Cochrane, because they're all a bunch of nerds, right? And then they do this later thing where they're talking about the greatest engineers of all time, and it flashes forward and it has another statue in a similar place of the greatest engineer of all time, and it's Miles O'Brien.
Nice. I mean, as much as I love Geordi, O'Brien's feats throughout the run of DS9 are pretty epic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He shoots the Borg twice there, which I found it interesting. I mean, he kind of freaks out a little bit.
He's got a nervous trigger finger.
Yeah, he just.
Oh, this character of Ensign Hawk. Okay, did you know that this goes all the way back to the original script? I thought it was just a rewrite that people put in for some novels that came out a little bit later, but apparently was actually in the script that he was supposed to be the first openly gay Star Trek character.
Really?
Yeah. There were more scenes written to flesh out the bridge crew, the guy who comes up and reports decks 26 through 11 and all that stuff. He has a name. His character has a name. But they were supposed to have more interactions and more character development to make you care about them a little bit. And one of the things is that Lieutenant Hawk, not Ensign Hawk, sorry, Lieutenant Hawk, was supposed to be gay.
Well, 96.
The effects of them just tossing away the guns and everything like that for the 0G is really good.
Yeah.
For them just having to use strings.
I like the music here. They definitely go for, again, this is the kind of action that, I mean, and I get this is very personal preference. I like slightly slower, more tension building action versus again. I mean, I'm a big fan of John Wick and like the really high, high speed, phonetic, not frantic, kinetic type action. But I also really enjoy.
The word is frenetic.
Frenetic, frantic,
highly
kinetic. Is that a word? All right.
Frenetic is a word. Yes, frenetic is a word.
Gotcha. But anyways,
okay, is this the first appearance of Worf's weird sword thing?
Oh no, he's had it on DS9. Because when the very first time that he and Dax fight on the holodeck or the holosuite in DS9, he actually talks about the fact that he likes it better than the Batlift because it's a little more maneuverable and he has better control. So that's like a whole thing when he meets Jadzia.
Okay.
That would have been what, season 3, I think.
Season 4, isn't it?
Yeah, because the end of season 3 is the search, and then sorry, the pilot of season 3 is the search where they introduce the Dominion, and the pilot of season 4 is Way of the Warrior where Worf comes in. So
yeah,
and this movie took place the fall of DS9's season 5.
Yeah.
So the Dominion War was raging at this point in DS9.
It was just beginning anyway.
Because they hadn't
because it's insurrection where the Dominion War is raging.
Because
that's the whole crux of the story,
right,
and they don't use it well enough.
Yeah, because the Dominion was definitely the Dominion was a Gamma Quadrant only threat at this point in DS9, but a huge threat and a concern. And season 6 is where they joined up with the Cardis.
But yeah, this is actually, you can see the pinch points for the strings for this 0G scene right here. Picard flying across the disc.
Yeah, well, they do a good job though.
The dish, but it's really good in comparison to the majority of other 0G scenes.
Yeah, this whole shot of like Hawk showing up here, and just that the way they got the prosthetics to be just perfect. When he grabs them and you see his face, and then like the helmet turns, but his face is still turned, and his face turns in the helmet, like that whole like just the way they set it up, it's very deliberate, and I always enjoy that kind of stuff where it's again it's not just although this wide shot, you feel like you should have seen Hawk there at some point in that wide shot, but
right,
it's okay.
Also, funny thing, I always really liked that weird lock thing that they use, that they have to turn that way. And it turns out that's actually a real device. It's not just like, oh, we designed this thing specifically for this movie. That's like an actual piece of industrial equipment that they just repainted to make look really good. Yeah.
It works that he wouldn't have, he's only been recently assimilated, so he wouldn't have quite the machinery yet to adapt to phaser.
Correct.
I love the Borg that's next to Worf, still like dead, but kind of like whatever the Borg equivalent of Maglov of Maglov, he's like still sitting there kind of
Maglock.
Sorry, you know what I mean. But he's still there like swaying, like he's basically still stuck to the hull, but he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assimilate this.
This is one of those moments where it's just like, okay, it's a little cheesy, but I'll give it to you.
You know what? It works because Michael Dorn's voice is epic enough to pull it off.
Michael Dorn does have a great voice.
He's got a great voice. Wait, whenever I see him act and not be Worf, it's always so weird because his voice, it's Worf's voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's done a lot of voice acting.
Yeah. Well, he's done voice acting, but also just he when he popped up in forget what season, he was in Castle. As a psychiatrist for a couple episodes, and it was just odd to see him just play a psychiatrist. Yeah, he was Beckett's shrink for a few episodes.
Yeah. Maglock.
I just think that Riker was happy that he got to spend this movie in regular clothes.
Right.
Like I just get to wear a jumpsuit.
Jonathan Frakes being like, I don't want to have to wear this stuff anymore. This whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're such fanboys.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like you would be like This is the kind of thing where, can you imagine if we got to go back and, I'm trying to think like the equivalent, you know, what would be like a good equivalent of this? Like watch Alan Turing work or something, or, you know, sit and be on set while they're filming.
Like
while
an
they're
author
filming
going back to go talk to Shakespeare, you know?
Yeah. I want to like go back and like, you know, be on the set while they're filming not War of the Worlds, Day of the Earth Still. As like a nerd, and like this is where it starts, you know.
Dude, like going back and being with George Lucas filming the first Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
it's such a crap show on set, and nothing's the way that he wants it to be, and everybody thinks the movie's gonna fail.
You're like, no, George, this is gonna be the biggest thing in the history of movies.
Right?
Yeah. I would like to fly. Oh man, James Cromwell. You know, it's interesting. He, I remember an interview with him where, and I'm sorry if you already mentioned this. Maybe you did, but he mentioned that he really enjoyed this role, but he's surprised that he almost never gets asked about it. That this is like one of the movies that he basically never gets talked about. Oh yeah, but like,
I would ask him like,
go ahead,
about being like such an important character in this while having played so many other roles in Star Trek.
Oh yeah, because he's been in prosthetics many times.
Like twice, and then once he's just kind of himself with just like the little forehead bumps that Star Trek always did.
Yeah.
In that one episode of Next Gen with the terrorist and.
Oh, that's right. That was a good. That was a good episode.
He's an evil bureaucrat.
Yeah, but where the guy like is loose in the Enterprise and like, you know, just keeps like that was a good episode.
No, I don't think it's that one. He's not loose on the Enterprise. He's
no, he's not loose.
He's Crusher hostage.
No. That's you're thinking of something else. He is the administrator where they put all of the prisoners on a penal planet, and one of the prisoners got loose on the Enterprise and is running around, and they're trying to capture him, but he keeps outsmarting them. He is the head of the bureaucrats that are asking the Enterprise to help them, and they end up basically saying, "This is your problem, deal with it," and you can't, you know. No, I remember because I actually watched that pretty recently with I was going through some episodes. What's the name of it? But that's the one that he's in. The one that Beverly Crusher gets.
Hunted, yeah.
The one that Beverly Crusher gets captured, and by the end is sympathetic to the terrorist. Another great episode. But the head of the bureaucrats in that one is she's a woman police officer who's very kind of cold, but you get a little bit of her backstory. A really good episode.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've watched Next Gen. But oh yeah, so he was Nayrock in The Hunted. He was in TNG Birthright Part 1 and 2, which is a weird little, you know, two-parter that nobody remembers because it's not great. He was an alien in full prosthetics. He was an alien in full prosthetics in Starship Down, which is like the submarine episode of Deep Space Nine. And then he's appeared as Zefram Cochrane in technically 3 different series. There's this. He's in Enterprise. He's in Broken Bow. He's a recording of Zefram Cochrane.
Yep.
He's technically the originator of the Final Frontier speech. And then he also voices himself as a hologram in Lower Decks. And he's really funny because the character of Mariner is like, oh my god, he's a kindred spirit. He's just a grub.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now this whole sequence is, you know, it's famous for a reason. I mean, Patrick Stewart is just chewing the scenery so well here, and they
submitted them to the Oscars.
The fact that Patrick Stewart
Best Actor
has never been recognized for acting in Star Trek is truly insane to me. Like, I mean, I know that like science fiction in general gets snubbed unless you're talking about technical categories, but I mean, him or the fact that him or Brent Spiner never got an Emmy nom even back when the show was on I mean, that's just, it seems insane to me that it's never gotten an acting. Yeah. I don't think it's been nominated. I don't think Star Trek's ever been nominated for acting awards ever, outside of like the Saturns or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's nuts. It's not fair.
Yeah, because there is. I mean, not just Next Gen. There's so many sci-fi shows and movies that have such phenomenal performances, and it's just, it's weird that the Academy and the Golden Globes just immediately disqualify you if you're in science fiction.
Yeah.
Even like Lord of the Rings, not getting a single, like the year Return of the King took every freaking Oscar it got nominated for and didn't get a single, even a nomination for acting, is like, really?
Yeah.
Do you
It's
really
so
think
weird.
that the movie can be that good if the acting isn't also worthy of nomination?
Like, how was Sean Astin not given a Best Supporting Actor nod?
Yeah. Again, it doesn't mean
Ugh,
they have to win, but to not even get nominated, it's
confused
just
me.
weird.
Yeah.
It does seem like as soon as you put prosthetics on that are not like either aging or de-aging you, you just immediately don't count anymore for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh man, this.
The no, the yell, all that.
Yeah. They got the
This
correct
this
ambassador back there, versus the one that was on
Mhm.
the D's all those years that was not the right ambassador.
Yeah. But this scene is the reason with her saying you broke your little ships is the reason why I call my collection of ships my little
You
ships.
little ships.
And then this right here. This speech has been parodied across Star Trek and other things. It's such a staple of Star Trek and science fiction. Let's be drawn here. This far, no farther. Like the way he delivers it is so precise.
Yeah. Patrick Stewart is just he's so good. And
Mm.
he gets that intensity, but it's like he never lets you forget this is still Picard. This is still like intensity and rage, but still being like reined in just enough
Mhm.
to
Well,
never make it feel like you're looking at a different character. It's
after that scene where it's focusing on his face, it actually stays on it long enough that he leaves the frame, and you see that he has this almost drunken swagger look to his face. And it's like he knows he's not in control and he's having all this trouble.
yeah,
And then we go into this quote here from uh
Moby Dick.
from Moby Dick, which is such an important thing. It's weird, okay? This line stands out to me from when I was a kid because my dad actually uses it as an example of why people just don't write like that anymore. It's a real loss to writing,
Yeah.
to authorship in general. And he piled upon the whale's white hump the sum of all the rage and hate felt by his whole race. And if his chest had been a cannon, he would have shot his heart upon it. Though they actually alter it.
Yeah,
In the book, if his chest had been a mortar, he would have shot his heart upon it. But people are just like, "What's a mortar? Just call it a cannon."
it's canon. Yeah, it is. I remember going and after I saw this movie, I actually remember going and like finding my mom's copy of Moby Dick and
Mhm.
looking for that line and being like, oh, it's not exactly the same, but it's fine. It's similar to because honestly, they did the same thing with Tale of Two Cities and Wrath of Khan that
Mhm.
they don't quote it perfectly, but the spirit is there. It's totally fine. It doesn't actually
Yeah.
bother me. Because
Yeah.
it's funny because you get Wrath of Khan is very much both Moby Dick and Tale of Two Cities, but this one just goes full Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's like
it's
it's
like
such a good character moment
oh yeah, it really is.
because it sets him apart from a character like Khan,
Yeah,
who because you any Star Trek fan immediately sees they're just Wrath of Khanning this thing with the Moby Dick comparisons and the literary stuff, but it's a complete opposite. It's a mirror image,
yeah.
and I love that.
This is how you want to explore the same themes, but you're not looking to just copy for the sake of well, that was popular. We should just do that. Like this is how you separate like this movie from what they tried to do with the abomination that is Into Darkness, where you know what I mean? Like it's just you can rehash themes. There's nothing wrong with rehashing themes if you're doing it because you have something new or interesting to say about it, not just well
Mhm.
that was a popular thing. People like that. We should just do that again. Oh, and if we trick them, that'll be
Yeah.
better.
And one of the stupid things though, okay, is because Into Darkness clearly wanted to do something incredibly similar where they're referencing some famous literary work. And again, I reference Heart of Darkness again. Um and they start Into Darkness as if I mean it's even in the freaking name Into Darkness. It's they start with it being almost an adaptation of Heart of Darkness with Kirk pursuing this rogue agent of his people for these deeply personal reasons. But then halfway through the movie, they just abandon that into comic book crap, and it doesn't work. And it could have worked if they'd actually followed through with the pattern that these other movies had set.
I love this moment. Sorry to interrupt you. This moment here between Picard and Worf is just great because, I mean, it's the ultimate way for Picard to come full circle from where he went into the conference room to come out and to just looking at Worf and saying, you might be the bravest man I've ever known. I know that's not the exact quote. I'm sorry, but it's just a great little moment between them, and just again that they don't just ignore stuff like that. This movie obviously has a few little inconsistencies, a few little, things that are not perfect, but there's no big glaring, oh, they screwed that up or they totally forgot that. Because even like the deck thing, right? Like, yeah, technically it's a mistake, but it's not one that makes the movie worse for me. They catch all of those, and I like right there. If Picard had not apologized to Worf, that would have bothered me. It would have been like, man, Picard didn't like turn around and apologize to Worf.
It would have been like Chewie walking by Leia after Han's death and not acknowledging her at all.
I thought about that, but I'm like, I've already brought up Star Wars once. I probably shouldn't do it again.
I'll do it. It's okay. I'll bring up Star Wars all
this
the time.
random piece of media.
Yeah. Okay. He busts this out, right? Which is oh my gosh.
Oh no, Magic Carpet Ride.
Magic Carpet Ride. Thank you.
Sorry.
And I remember really liking this song because it was in this movie, and I tried to find it when electronic media like Spotify and stuff was first coming around, only to find out that it has like a 3-minute long intro of just like vague strumming, and there's no other version of it.
Well, you can get the version on the soundtrack. It's fine.
Yeah, but not on like Spotify or anything.
Oh yeah. See,
it's just you go and listen to the original Magic Carpet Ride, and you just have to listen to this like quiet crap.
Yeah.
For minutes. And so it's not on any one of my playlists. I don't care how much I actually like the musical part of it. It's so dull in those first like 3 minutes.
It's funny because
like, oh, we're 80s artists. Go to hell.
Now this shot gets reused in the Enterprise opening credits.
Uh-huh.
But
it's a good shot though.
Yeah, it is a good shot.
Freaking thing. What a great little model.
Yeah.
And the use of the nacelles that look just like a downgraded version of the original Enterprise's nacelles.
Oh yeah, it's great. I was gonna say, so I mean, I owned the First Contact soundtrack on cassette tape. I am not kidding you with that.
Oh my god!
And then I owned it again on CD. And both of those have that Magic Carpet Ride, and they have the version with that cut out, which is interesting. So I believe you, but I've actually never listened to that song digitally because I've always just owned it physically. So I didn't realize it had a long intro, but I'm not surprised because from that era they definitely did that a lot. This is a great moment here too.
Yeah.
They really save like the Data stuff for the very end. I mean, we're closing down to the end of this, and they kind of let Data go a little bit. They had the scene where like he escaped, didn't want to tear it off his arm, and the movie just kind of lets that go for quite a while before we actually revisit Data with the Borg.
Yeah, it's almost 15 minutes.
Yeah, which I mean, for a movie of this length, 15 minutes is a long time.
Yeah. So they showed all of the people getting onto the escape pods, and the doors are closing and stuff like that. The doors are just like repainted lids of sporting gear.
Yeah,
like those things that you put on top of your car when you're don't have the trunk space.
Yeah. Okay, did it ever bother you that he walks up to the engineering, like a door that says engineering, and it's a perfectly unassimilated deck? Like it was kind of an odd like. It was interesting to me that he got to engineering, and this is like the one little bit of a quarter he goes through this in Borgified.
I had the same thought rewatching this recently because I'd never really thought about it. Where it's just like my assumption was he just kind of goes into the Borg area here and he eventually makes his way to engineering. But they focus in on the panel that says engineering.
Yeah, it even says engineering 16, so it's like he's on deck 16. He would have had to go through decks of Borg activity to get here.
Yeah, so why is there that one corridor that's just been spared Borgification?
Yeah. I think it's just
also. Look at the stairs. I'm fairly certain this is the same set as the bridge.
Maybe. Oh, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
Great action sequence in the Sovereign class Enterprise engineering in Star Trek Elite Force 2.
Oh yeah.
Where you can actually shoot that tank and it'll blow some stuff into enemies' faces and dissolve them.
And I played Elite Force 2 once, and I've forgotten most of it. I played the first one so many times. Because the second one, they actually got Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner.
But it actually has some really good stuff in it.
Yeah. Didn't they come and actually do voice work, Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And Tuvok and all that.
Yeah, I need to. But yeah, because they had the whole Voyager cast. But yeah, I need to play. I own them both on Steam. I bought them. No, sorry, not on Steam. Yeah. I bought them on Good Old Games.
Galaxy of Games is where they're the only place where they're available.
Galaxy of Games.
GOG, whatever it's called.
It's Good Old Games.
GOG.
Not Galaxy of Games. It's Good Old Games.
I thought it was Galaxy of Games. Galaxy of Games. Welcome to GOG. Good Old Games. Oh, you're right. It was Good Old Games. There was another one that was Galaxy of Games that was bought out. Oh, look at that. I'm wrong.
We are really getting distracted at times. Oh gosh. I mean, again, we say it in the intro of this podcast. You gotta accept it. This is what it's like to hang out with us, and we get distracted.
Yeah.
But see,
the whole thing with the Borg Queen does also establish as to why they would need Locutus of Borg as well. That there are these special drones, these special versions, these special places in the Borg.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make much sense. Because Locutus, it comes from the Latin, means speaker, one who speaks. Elocution comes from Locutus.
Yeah. No, it's not like they pulled this out of nothing, because you're right. The Best of Both Worlds two-parter does already break a little bit of what I was describing earlier with the Borg being just a force of nature. Like, why would they bother or need to, to get somebody? So I do acknowledge that. And again, I'm not even saying this is bad. Like, this is still really well. I do think, now, I mean, you're a bigger Voyager person than I am. I do think that Voyager
had massive writing letdowns?
Well, I just think specifically the Borg in Voyager got maybe neutered is the word I'm thinking of. They stopped being super special because I think Voyager overused them.
They were yes, I was literally about to say they were overused, but their threat was never diminished. Even when they were having trouble with like Species 8472, they were never neutered, I would say. They were always dangerous, but they did overuse them.
Yeah.
And I liked that they kept them a threat until the end and were able to, now we have this technology that allows us to get past them, but even then they're still kind of kicking their butt.
Yeah.
And the finale was unfortunately just a letdown that they should have been able to do more with, but they didn't.
Yeah. Coming up here, we have the slowest quantum torpedoes in history. Just like they move so slowly, but I liked the detail of the data having I mean, it would have been artificial, obviously, but like a realistic looking eye in the side of his face where he's got the skin, and then later, when he's on the bridge at the end, he's got the kind of the socket.
The question is, whose eye did they give him?
Yeah.
Was that Ensign Lynch's eye?
Aw, poor Ensign Lynch. So okay, so if Lily was supposed to go with Zephyr Cochrane, but she's up on the ship,
Yeah.
who was going to be in the third seat that Geordi was like, "You get out of here. I'm going on this ride."
Probably somebody who died in that in the bunker when they first look in there, and there's a bunch of dead people in the control center.
You're probably right.
Yeah. And then it's, in the history books, it's still Lily, and they just had to kind of Photoshop Geordi into being in drag.
Oh, man.
That was hilarious. Laugh at me.
You're not that funny, my friend. It's a good
Okay,
series.
one of the things I noticed is that behind them, I think it was supposed to have lights or something that fluctuate, like LEDs in it, but there's just this plastic tubing in between Riker and LaForge
Okay.
that just looks like plastic bins stacked on each other.
So, like, okay, this is like so. Sorry, this is a little overly dramatic that she has time to deliver that line, and just they're all watching, and just like the speed there. It just, to me, this was always a little bit.
I mean, this is
overly
almost
dramatic.
more realistic than most other Star Trek in that way.
Well, I mean,
but
technically,
one detail I do
torpedoes
like
are supposed to
from
be
a
going
storytelling
really
perspective
fast. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is that his firing, because it doesn't make much sense. Like, if he was going to turn on him, why did he fire, right? You can actually write in some logic there. He needed the queen distracted, and he knows that she's going to gloat, right? So you immediately see him hit the button, and he begins moving across to the coolant tanks so that when he's close enough, he's able to break them, but she doesn't notice him getting close to the coolant tanks because she's distracted by the torpedoes.
No, you can absolutely write a plausible explanation for it. It just, to me, it was always just kind of funny because, torpedoes are usually pretty fast. Man, Patrick Stewart is in good shape for his age, man.
Right? Yeah, he wanted to show off for this movie, like straight up.
Yeah. I love that Data just totally grabs her, like just grabs her by the ass.
We completely talked over the scene where she like seduces Data, and it implies that she had sex with him.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely didn't she?
Did you know that when she asks him about being, he's fully functional and programmed in multiple techniques, and she asks how long it's been since he's used that functioning, he gives like 8 years and some odd months and some odd days, hours, minutes, and that was actually from the time of release, counting back then. It leads to season 1, episode 2 of Star Trek: The Next Generation, when he slept with Tasha Yar.
Yeah.
During the Naked Time.
Oh, back when they just thought they'd start remaking original series episodes. But yeah.
And it was a little hornier.
It was a little hornier. Oh man.
Horny Star Trek is never good.
I mean, yeah.
Motion picture, season 1, Discovery season 1. Oh,
I love the Esteem.
Not Lower Decks, the other one. Starfleet Academy season 1. So like teenager horny, which was even worse.
Well, just I always think of did this smell like barbecue all of a sudden, or
I mean, it's coolant, so I feel like it would smell like a car fire.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Have you ever been near a car fire?
I have. It's been a long time though. I did some training back in high school for search and rescue that I did this. Yeah. But anyways,
I remember there was a car accident in front of a Starbucks I was working at, and the car was on fire, and this idiot was standing right next to it, like looking at it, all curious. We're like, "Get away from the freaking car on fire!" And
okay,
there were some people online saying that this is a reference to the Descent when he's looking at the Borg looks at humans like, "Oh, instant death, break below the third vertebrae." So he breaks this below the third vertebrae, and that's a reference to the Descent, and I don't think it is.
I always just thought that this was a little bit, obviously, of a design homage to Terminator.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, and it looks a lot like servo skulls from modern Warhammer 40k. Hello, Data, and all those little blinky lights.
It's good process. I mean, again, on Brent Spiner's face, like they did a good job of really making that look. As much as it's still a little cheesy, just the blinking lights. Like you really feel like it's inside, right? Like it goes in. Like they got that effect to look just right. You can tell it's prosthetics, not CG.
Well, I think that it was a combination of it, to be honest. Like, there's something to the depth that maybe it is just really good prosthetics, and they just make his head a little bit bigger.
See,
But there's something to the depths in certain scenes that I'm like, I feel like they might have double filmed some things. Like you can see the makeup line on this one, but there's a scene later at the end that I don't know. I feel like they might have used some visual trickery to like morph the prosthetics into his head.
Maybe, but I know that there's a drawing technique, right, where you can draw an angle that, depending on how you look at it, it either is coming at you or it's recessing away from you, and it's all about the angle that you shoot it at. And I feel like they can do that where actually it's raised, but they shoot it at just the right angle that it looks recessed instead of proud of his skin line. I mean, there's definitely a way to do that. There's a visual technique to do that. And I can't remember the name of it, but it's a thing. And I wonder if they did it that way. But they could have used some CG too. I'm not. You could be right. I'm not sure. I do not know definitively.
Yeah.
This whole so when I listen to the soundtrack of this movie, and I still to this day do.
Yeah, there was the bartender right there.
Okay. Yeah, there are. I mean, I listened to the whole thing, but the opening credits and this whole musical sequence here leading into the end credits are my two favorite pieces of music.
Oh yeah. This sequence, though, you know what it reminds me of?
What?
This reminds me of the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly.
Oh yeah, where he shoots him with a shotgun, and Jonathan Archer's
they didn't show much of previews for In a Mirror Darkly, and I remember watching that when it aired, and they suddenly show this scene, but with some different little reshoots and stuff like that clipped in there. But it's the exact thing, except when he goes to shake the Vulcan's hand, he pulls out a shotgun instead. It's like a spaz.
Oh no! Oh, he shakes his hand, but then when he tries to do the Vulcan salute, he's like, screw it, and he kills him.
Yeah.
No, they got
James Cromwell back.
They got James Cromwell back for that, right?
Voice recording. No, they didn't. But they got a voice recording of him.
Okay.
So that he yells, "Storm the ship" or something like that, and take it all.
I mean, that's one of those episodes that it has its problems, but it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
The fact that they even redid the opening credits for that two-parter was just like, all right. But this
was so stupid, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being so stinking important to everything.
Oh,
yeah. The Tholian web from the original series, and then tying it all the way into Discovery Season 5. And it's great.
Yeah.
This Vulcan, according to Star Trek lore, this Vulcan is Spock's great-grandfather.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. See, as much as Enterprise has problems, and it absolutely does, I love how much they ran with the idea here of the Vulcans, how they would build a relationship with humans, and how you would take like this kind of moment, and then what would happen years later, right? Like what would be the relationship moving forward? And it didn't do it perfectly, but the concept was there, and I really enjoyed that in Enterprise.
Yeah. Enterprise has a lot of problems and was also way too horny in that first season.
Yep.
Horny Star Trek just doesn't work.
Star Trek. But weirdly enough, some of the best actresses Star Trek ever got were the ones they brought in to be sexy, and actually are fantastic actresses, and like kind of moved. We're able to become much more than just, yes, I've got boobs and I'm wearing a skin tight suit, and that's all I was cast for. But I'm actually amazing if you pay attention.
Yeah, it's crazy the way that works.
There's both. I mean, Jerry Ryan was obviously, but Jolene Blaylock. Jolene Blaylock. She also was a really nailed that role, and by the end of that series, had made that character into something very interesting.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, this is going to sound weird, okay? One of the things that modern Star Trek is missing is the gratuitous sexual character who they actually use to develop into a really good character, because that's one of the things about everything up to, and this isn't meant to insult any cast member from Discovery or Picard or whatever, they don't have any really like hot characters in Star Trek until like not lower decks, until Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. It just they like in a 2-sentence conversation there. Oh, I've recreated what the Borg did to so okay, did they just know how to travel through time now?
Yeah, I guess so.
This whole
this
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 is great,
scene, dude. This is so great.
The Vulcan's reaction when this music comes on is great, and the idea too. Can you
Right.
imagine Vulcans drinking tequila and being like, although that is clearly not tequila, that's like a bourbon or a whiskey of some kind, but still.
There's dark tequila, but yeah, it might be like a dark rum or something.
The Vulcan sits back down like, okay, I will drink your alcohol, but I am not dancing.
No, the utter concern that these other Vulcans have. Yeah. Okay, there's a weird parallax shift to this scene between the miniatures and the green screen. Do you see it?
Yep.
Like down near the truck?
Yeah.
I honestly thought that was always my brain as a kid.
No,
it's just a unfortunately poorly done visual effect.
It is. Well, you can
every time I see it, it makes me feel a little bit like I'm drunk or sick or something.
Yeah. Well, and to the Vulcan ship, and specifically that top engine pod or whatever it is, it it absolutely kind of like shifts and like skirts across the shot in a way that it just does not look real or natural. You can tell there's some layers there that were not hidden very well.
Oh, Amazon just started playing Project Hail Mary.
Unfortunately. Oh, that's right. That's streaming now.
Yeah.
So at some point we need to do Martian and Hail Mary together, like as a 1 and 2.
Yeah. Maybe when Artemis comes out.
It'll be a while.
I don't know about that.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm sure it'll get made. I'm curious if they're gonna make, because that's this weakest book.
Yeah, but that's just it. The guys who directed Project Hail Mary were straight up like, we want to make Artemis and we want to fix it. Because even Andy Weir was like, yeah, I wasn't quite there and it needs fixing.
Yeah. But this is, I mean, in a way, this is kind of where I almost like Star Trek on the big screen ends for me. And I know that I'm going to be a total old fuddy-duddy here, but like Insurrection and Nemesis, they exist. They're fine. They have their place. We're going to get to them next week. And they have their moments. But as far as kind of where I go in what I revisit voluntarily, this is kind of where I stop movies. Because this was such a good movie. And it just wrapped up like a great adventure for Next Gen. That and even, I mean, as much as we'll get to it, the JJ stuff, there's good stuff in there. I never got attached to it like I did this stuff. And so in a way, this is almost like where I mentally kind of close the Star Trek feature film library in my head. I don't know if that's totally mean, but it is the truth for me personally.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. Like, so I have an ex-girlfriend who likes to make fun of Star Trek. She just thought it was the nerdiest thing in the world. Well, she had her own nerdy interests, and there was a balance to be struck there. But I said she was obsessed with The Office, and The Office kind of makes me cringe. So I have trouble watching it. I said I would watch through The Office with her if she would watch through some Star Trek with me. And I specifically chose like Space Seed, Wrath of Khan, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 4, Star Trek 6, and then Best of Both Worlds and First Contact. And
I mean, you traded 8 seasons of The Office for only that much Star Trek? That's a good bargain for her.
It was.
As somebody who really likes The Office, that's still a really good bargain for her.
She made me watch Scott's Tots.
Oh. See, for Scott's Tots, you really should have made her watch, is it Code of Honor? Or what's the what's the total racist one, like in where like Yar fights the African woman?
Season 1, episode 4.
Is that Code of Honor?
That's not Code of Honor.
No, that's because Code of Honor is the one where the other Klingons show up. What was that one called? It's famous for being
Is it the
awful.
one where everything is solved by Riker banging that one chick?
No, that's Angel something where they're all
Angel 1.
No. Code of Honor is what
Oh,
I'm
you're right.
thinking
It is
about.
Code of Honor.
It is Code of Honor. I was getting it confused with Angel 1 is what you were thinking of. Riker negotiates for the freedom of male fugitives in a world run by women.
Yeah.
Heart of Glory is what I was thinking of versus Code of Honor. For some reason, Heart of Glory as a title, because that's where Klingon fugitives take control of the ship, and Worf has to like choose between Klingons and his, whatever. But no, Code of Honor is one of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever made. So I'm just saying, for Scott's tots, you should have been like, you got to watch Code of Honor.
Goodness gracious.
Or Justice, you could have made her watch Justice, where the naked people are running around and they put people for death for falling in flowers.
That's right. Ugh. God, season 1. I always remember what is Sharzhenka. I brought that up last week. That's what I like. For some reason, I think about season 1 of Next Generation, and I think of the one guy's head exploding and Sharzhenka and Tasha Yar in that weird dress thing with her hair slicked back.
Oh, well, that's from
Data.
Yeah, but to say that outfit, oh gosh, I mean,
it's not the dress.
No, but Denise Crosby was in good shape.
She was indeed.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I think I already said this on an episode previously, but like my oldest daughter, Natasha, is named after Tasha Yar. Like that is where I got that name from. So, yeah, and she does know that. If anybody's curious, she knows that, and she's accepted it. She has a nerd dad. But no, this has been fun. I mean,
You should have named her Crusher.
I am looking forward to Insurrection and Nemesis, just talking about them with you. I have not watched them in years. So definitely looking forward to next week and revisiting Insurrection, which there's some good conversation to be had around Insurrection, even if it is a film that has some issues, for sure. But yeah. This movie, though, and I'm sorry, I know there's some important scenes that we kind of got sidetracked on for anybody watching, but again, just the joy of just whatever randomness comes in. This is such a briskly paced film that it's hard to keep up with it. But that's part of what makes it such a good movie. So this has been great.
Yeah, this has been great.
This is not a movie that I think
this is my favorite
needs
Star
fixing.
Trek movie. This is my favorite Star Trek movie. It has my favorite Star Trek music, though it's kind of tied with the 2009 Star Trek and the Wrath of Khan theme. It's just I can't speak highly enough of it, despite its problems. Like this is in like my top 5 sci-fi movies of all time, easily.
No, you have good taste. I like I said, as much as I have my personal biases, my personal bias, this is a fantastic movie that I would not fault anybody for holding as highly as you do. So, well,
we should probably end this one out. Lots of random rambling on this one, and just slobbering over this movie, and it deserves it. Well, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it.
You should. And if you want to hear us be more critical, come back next week, because you'll definitely get some.
And the week after that.
Yeah. But with that, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow.